Want to make sure I always go in a little early because there's already folks in the chat. You got Brazen in the house. We're going to see Brazen on camera in a little bit. You got Bree. How are you, Miss Bree? Bradley Jones, always doing his thing, man. Love you, buddy. Vance Grady, one of my Goombas from the Chicago area. So good to see you guys. Let me get this computer to act right so I can see everything at the same time. Welcome in, everybody. We're going to have our friend Jeremy Kelly of JWalking Vegas here momentarily, and his lovely wife Lorena from Brazen Slots, now Brazen Gambles. Very good friends of ours and supporters of Keno Nation. They've been to, of the first 5 Keno Nation events, they've been to 4 of them. So, so much fun. Becky A's in the house. Becky A, also a future guest on the channel. Her scheduled date is, I believe, is October 28th. So yes, we're excited. Yes, October 28th coming up. So, hi Becky A. Oh my gosh, so fun. Chris and Rick, Vance and JB, my Goom boss. Becky, hey, how are you? Is the sound good again? I always worry about that. Tina's in the house. Tina had such a fun weekend with Jamie and Kelly and that Yamava, and we got going. Hey, good morning, Mr. James. Thanks for coming in. Ellen had a wonderful day at Yamava, and I did a little bit okay. But Ellen had hit something that rhymes with sand play. And the video's coming out soon, but she is now a big time fan of 8-card Keno. So, oh my God, we got some new faces. Make it or break it's in the house. Keno Live. Keno. Hey, Anise, thanks for connecting me on Facebook. Appreciate you so much. Susan VP. Oh my gosh, Susan, we can't stop raving about you. Deborah Does Luck. Bumped into Deborah on Friday night. Saturday morning. Yesterday, God, it was a whirl. We were there for 24 hours, and it seemed like a whirlwind. But Deborah walked up, and it's just so nice to us. And her and her friend Diana Boyd's in the house. But yeah, Deborah, so nice to meet you. The kids in the house. Yeah, Tina, it was so much fun. We took Jamie and Kelly to the airport yesterday, so we stayed around a little bit longer. And thank God we gambled yesterday morning because it was a fun day. Whenever you're ready, Jeremy, hit that link and we'll get going. Okay, buddy. And thanks for coming. Oh my God, we already got 34 in the room. That's our new high. Our high has been 32. We've already got 34 in the room. Slot Gypsy Jackie. EJV, what's up, EJ? That is a man of Tina. I was jealous of you. You guys got to travel the country on cruise ships in New Orleans, and I missed out, but I get to spend one great day with Jamie and Kelly. So, Sister Yoshi, there we go. Jeremy's right there. I will start bragging about some add-ons here in a second because we have some new guests that have joined the link. Let's get Jeremy in the house right here. There he is. Spin that camera, big guy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, he says swing it.
Yeah, he just says swing it.
Yes. Spin your camera sideways.
In my ear.
That never happens with wives, does it?
Never. We've done here.
Oh my gosh. There she is. Is there a way to get your camera the other way? Oh, lost the camera. There she is. Did we lose your camera? We'll get him back. We'll get him back here soon. The Yoshis are in the house. The Yoshis just joined our list of guests. Becky, hey, don't be as scared. Don't be as scared. It's all about fun. Did we lose him? Hey, Michelle. There they are. Is the sound back? Yeah. Oh, you got it on mute. There you go. There we go.
Right now.
You got it? Yep, I see him. What a handsome dude.
Good, looking good.
Melly, how are you?
Nice.
Your hand's being cut off.
Do I got you?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, can I hear you guys? Can I hear you?
Yeah, I'm good to go. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, all right, there we go. Good morning. How are you guys doing?
I got about this much left in the coffee here, so Just
I,
trying
I
to work it
emptied, I,
through.
em- I emptied mine. I'm not a big hot drink guy, so I always make a coffee and I pour it over ice. So, oh my gosh, so good. We've been talking about this for a few weeks now, and I'm so excited to see you on because a lot of folks know you as JWalking. So we're going to get into that a little bit later, but we want to make also can Lorena show her face because we always just have her step into the camera for 1 second. Did she leave the room?
Ran off. She'll be back in a
That's
second.
okay. She'll be back. Want to have some special shout outs too. We spent the day at Yamava Casino, which is the parent casino to the Palms, right? They're the ones that bought out the Palms and get the Palms going. But we spent the day with Slot 500, Kelly and Jamie on Slot 500 Club, and had a blast. And it was so fun being there. But the Yoshi showed up, Sass the Slot showed up, Mr. Avalon and Mrs. Lady Avalon showed up. The Unknown Gambler was there. There was so much. Yamava is like a hotbed of the Southern California slot channel community. They were everywhere. They were everywhere. But the really cool part was one of our loyal viewers, Lynn Brockish, spent the whole day with us on Friday night. Hung out with us. We had some drinks, and she was there for 4 or 5 hours. Such a sweet lady. And then Saturday morning, Deborah Does Slots, who's in the chat, she came up and hung out with us with her friend. I'm sorry about your friend. I forget your friend's name. And then Dan, who's in the chat, he'll see him in his chat. He's called Big D. He played Tina with us for about an hour yesterday, so it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
So many folks at Yamava, and then like I said, if you guys are just getting in the chat now, Ellen hit the video's coming out soon because she hadn't had a hand pay all year long. She had a hand pay yesterday, so
Nice.
yes, and it was she was so giddy. So I can't wait to show you guys that stuff. So let's get into this already. Jeremy, how are you, buddy?
Man, life's good. Can't complain. How about you?
Life, I'm doing well. We're going to talk about work life and work life balance and all these things. We had a long chat about it the other day. I say, let's save this for our
Yeah,
conversation because
we were gonna have so much content. We were like,
I
oh
know
no,
we
let's
want to let
tackle it.
people because I'm all about people and experience and the human experience and we're going to get into your life and time too. So, born and raised in Los Angeles.
Yep, absolutely. And one thing I want to say too before we jump in, because
Yeah,
everybody knows, your character and all that stuff, but you, when we first met you, it was such a relief because Lorena had her channel, and we're just getting into the swing of it, and we're meeting people for the first time and things of that
yeah,
nature. And when we met you out with Ellen at Circa, it was
yeah,
just such a really cool experience because we were so new in it. Jaywalking hadn't been created yet, where we were getting going,
yes.
and it was just really really neat because your energy was so pleasant, and you were very very warm and inviting, you and Ellen. So
Oh yeah.
I've said it before, but I wanted to say it again. Just truly appreciate you, for everything you do. You're awesome, dude.
I remember that day so vividly because that was our first ever live, and you were in it. You and your lovely wife in it, and you guys walked, and she had just started her channel, and I saw her. She was on the Rhino Man show, and she had like 50 subscribers, and she's like, "Why am I on your show? Nobody knows who I am yet." And I go, "You know what? I heard you guys are in Vegas." I go, "Please come out, please come out." And you guys walked up, and we're all like, "What do we do?" And I'm like, "Get over here, get over here,"
It was just so organic. It was really cool. It
yeah,
really
and then
was.
we've become quite. We've had dinner a few times. We've been to Lucille's. Jeremy posted a picture of our meal. Every time I'm in Vegas, I make sure if we can, but I make sure I have spend some quality time with Jeremy and Lorena. They're class quality people. So
And trust me, I appreciate you for that, because, and
yeah,
I know we're going to get into it a little later, but one of the keys of this whole thing, honestly, throughout the journey, is the people you meet. I can't tell you. We'll get into it, but
yeah,
it's just been a beautiful beautiful experience. So
I appreciate you, man. So let's get out. So born and raised in Los Angeles. Are your folks still around?
my dad passed away June of 2020. Mom is still around.
What was your dad's name?
My dad was Ronald Kelly. Ronald Kelly. Yep.
Okay. What did he do as you grew up?
So what he did most recently before he passed, he was actually in Vegas. He lived in Vegas for 17 years. So basically, what occurred was, he was married to my mom. They ended up getting divorced, and he got remarried. And
Okay.
then, I lived with him. Well, actually, I split time in high school between my mom and my dad. My dad
Yeah.
lived a lot closer to my high school, which was St. Bernard's High School in Los Angeles, Playdale, right? And so I went there all 4 years. Conversely, that's where I met Lorena, which a few people know the story, but we'll jump into that too.
Yeah, I
And
don't really know the whole story because we're too
yeah,
busy goofing off and talking sports and shit.
we'll
But
hit it. Yeah. And
yeah.
so what happened was, graduated high school. He ended up moving to Minneapolis because his second wife, that's
Oh,
where she was from. They lived out there 4 years, and then he moved to Vegas, and that's where he lived the rest of it. So he absolutely loved it here, But he was the
okay.
type, he was a gambler too, but he liked betting on the ponies. That was his thing.
Oh my
So,
gosh, I have
oh
I have
yeah,
a ton of horse race. I used back in me and a buddy of mine. I've owned racing dogs. We had a him and I had a 1-800 call us 4.99 and we'll give you a horse racing pick for the weekend.
okay,
I've had every angle in the gambling thing from just the small time version. Like we actually literally own racing greyhounds that ran on the East Coast, so we had
wow,
to buy a satellite system to watch them run. I've been to racing dog auctions. I've been to tracks, Derby Lane, which is a huge track in Florida at the time. It is a dead dying industry now.
mhm,
They did a lot of crooked things with the dogs, and
right,
we got out because it was not what we wanted to be part of. So
right,
um,
right, makes
we
sense.
we we owned 4 dogs, and we prepaid their adoptions post racing career. So that industry they're known for mass slaughters of dogs that have
Oh,
run their. So like we're not doing this anymore. But, when we get in, you're all these. Let's go. We're gambling. We're now. We're
right.
on racing. I have a whole stack of
Hmm.
racing programs with my name in it, um, but it was become a crooked industry, so we got out. Um,
Yeah.
during your high school and your youth, what was your go to? Were you a sports guy, a music guy? Because I know you love sports, but what did you do when you were growing up?
Yeah, so growing up, sports was my thing. I tell Lorena, and she knows the story. My first love was baseball.
Yeah.
That was my first love. I started playing at the age of 8. Um, my dad was my coach throughout a lot of those years. So, it was really cool because we really got to bond over
Yes.
sports. And,
Yeah.
even to this day, with my children, that's, some of the things that we connect with as well. But yeah, I started off baseball. I played all the sports growing up as a kid, baseball, basketball, football. When I got into high school, I kind of started to realize I, was a little faster than, a lot of other people. So I got into track,
Hmm.
my senior year, and that was a ton of fun. When you're young, when you're thinking about, doing things, and obviously, the co-ed element comes into it, and this is before I met Lorena, for everybody that,
Yeah.
but
There's not a
um,
lot of girls in the baseball dugout, but there's a lot of girls on that track team, though.
without a doubt. And so it is. And so
It's true.
so you deal with that, and that was really cool because it's my senior year, and you're starting to kind of grow into yourself and all of that stuff. And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, no, sports was definitely something huge for me. I really love team sports because it's
Yeah.
that team building, and you have to depend on other people. We do it as a unit.
Yeah.
Things like that. And it translates into life. I mean, there's so many things like when
Oh my
my
God. So true.
yeah,
So
yeah.
true.
When my father passed away, one of the first people I called was one of the guys I played ball with because
Mm.
he coached them, and we sat and talked about all the good times. And we're talking about you know I'm 43, and we're talking about over 30 years ago. My 13-year-old team. I was on with my guy Mike Webster, and we were just talking about all the experiences and things like that, recalling it like it was yesterday. So this stuff it translates throughout life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it sticks with you. You don't see it in the moment when you're 12, 13, 14 years old, but you're able to look back on those experiences and
Yeah.
say, hey, when I faced adversity in this position, this is how I was able to come through it, things like that. So, yeah, I'm a big believer in sports. I think it definitely translates into, real life
To
for sure.
echo your point, I coached my oldest son all through Little League. There's Miss Ellen. There's Miss Ellen.
Hey, Jeremy.
She,
Alan, how's it going?
she's. Are you doing your normal Saturday? She's going with her girls again this morning. Sunday mornings belong to her. She gets to go out with all of her teacher buddies, and they go get coffee and breakfast and do the the chit chat thing, and that's
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah. So,
Really good
but
thing.
yeah, growing up, I coached my oldest boy through little league and stuff like that, and then I love kids. I've worked at SeaWorld for 39 years, but I've also worked after school programs. I've done sports development through elementary school systems, and then I was a high school basketball coach for 15 years. And to echo your point is there are still kids that are grown people now. And I just bumped it the other day. I coached a high school kid basketball player at Steel Canyon High School. He's now the mayor of Coronado, one of the suburbs of San Diego Island. And the mayor of Coronado, what's up, coach? There's nothing more warm than a kid that you coached still calls you coach.
Absolutely, without doubt. And by the way, shout out to Coronado Island. That's where me and Lorena did our honeymoon. We did it down
Oh
in
my
San
gosh.
Diego. We went to Coronado Island. Absolutely love that place. That place is
Yes.
gorgeous.
Yes.
Um,
Gorgeous.
but yeah, to your point, people who have played sports, they know.
Yeah.
That's one of the highest honors that you can call somebody as a coach, because with coaches, they're giving their time. Coaches don't get paid. You know what I
Nothing.
mean? Especially
Yeah.
in recreation, they're giving their time and they're
Yeah.
sowing
Yeah.
into their players. And
Yes.
and it's the same thing. When I see old coaches out, it's like, hey coach, how's it going? It's like, it's not hey Bill. It's not, it's hey coach,
Yeah.
because that means something. I mean,
Yeah.
especially you realize as you get older.
Oh man. And
Yeah,
one of
absolutely.
our viewers, and she's a slot channel now, SoCal Slots, Miranda. I hadn't talked to her in 20 years, and she saw my YouTube channel and she goes, "Oh my God, Brandon!" I coached her son, and not knowing it, she goes, "Brandon, is that Bubba your coach?" She goes, "Oh my God!" So she private messaged me, "Are you Bubba from El Cajon National Little League?" And I go, "I am." She goes, "Brandon was,
That's
Brandon played
awesome.
for you." So now we're very good friends again, and I had to talk to her. I mean, is team sports is it teaches you conflict resolution. It teaches you how to work with people to a
Yeah.
common goal. And I'm a director of a whole department at SeaWorld, and I still use coaching techniques to keep grown people in that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
human
Exactly.
beings, and we
Mhm.
all have all ranges of personalities and tolerances and temperaments, and to blend. I have 28 scuba divers who work for me, and 12 mechanics, and 3 automation techs, and then I have to work with directors and all these other things. And I'm pretty even keel, mellow guy. And but there are times when you get your buttons get pushed by certain people, and you got to go, all right, this guy's having a tough day today. This
Yep.
Bradley Jones with a $5 super chat.
There you
Highly
go.
encouraged all get out and join J. Oh, pushing your channel. Join J
Oh,
Walking
thanks,
Stream.
Brad. Appreciate that, man.
Bradley Jones, man. I don't know if you hear it enough, but there are so many people that appreciate your time and effort that you do all on your own.
Without a
Bradley,
doubt.
you're so loved, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you
Hey,
so much.
listen. Yeah, because
Yeah,
Bradley came out on one of our lives. We got to hang out. We got to eat
yeah,
afterwards, and we got to chat. Listen, there's so many people that just contribute, and I'm glad that we have forums like this where we can really, give them their just due. The thing is that we don't have enough time right now, to go through everybody,
yeah.
because
Oh
there's
my
just
gosh.
so many
Yeah.
people. But it's just like, it's one of those things where I think I really just want to do like a one-off video to really just, no, honestly, just
No,
speak
I'm
about these
sorry.
people, because there's so many.
Keno Kid always tries to bust my balls when you're saying something very prominent. He goes, Bubba throws fish into the mouths of his coworkers to get them to comply. Not entirely true, but there's nothing beats sometimes when I walk in with a giant bag of bagels and cream cheeses, and guys, hey guys, we're gonna take 15 minutes. We're not gonna talk about work for 15 minutes. Let's have a little chow together before we get the day going. And those little moments, I mean, when they all want a pay raise, they all want a role advancement. Sometimes just, hey, we're going to sit here in this meeting. We're not going to talk about work for 15 minutes today, you know.
There you go. Yeah.
And then when that's over, okay, what's going on, and you get back to it. And those little moments that, I mean, even though we're adults, those are so appreciated. I mean, I
It
appreciate it
matters.
when, it matters. So it lets your staff know you care, and I care
Absolutely.
about people. Um, so let's talk about it. So my next question is, how did you meet your lovely wife, Lorena?
So, as the story goes, um, I was going to St. Bernard's, and I graduated in June of '97. Can you hear me? No, I lost you. Let's see. Kind of hear a weird echo. So, they're saying they can't hear me.
I can hear you.
You can hear me? Lorena's saying she can hear me in her thing. You can't hear me though, Bubba? No.
I can hear you.
Say something
It
else.
says you can hear Jeremy, but you can't hear me. Let me see if
I
I.
can hear you. I can
There
hear
we
you.
go. I'm back. I'm back.
Okay.
I think when I bump my thing, I probably pulled it slightly out. Is that better?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay, there you go. Let's go back. How did you meet your lovely wife, Lorena?
So I graduated high school in June of 1997, and my cousin was going to school with me. Her name was Kimberly, and she was 3 grades under me. So she graduated in 2000. So,
What?
Oh, okay. It was weird. No, I was in my car. Your cell phone went on in my car.
No. And that's what happened. I'm still connected to my wife's car, and my
connected,
car's right
yeah.
outside the door, so it turned the car on.
It happens to me too.
I'm like, hello?
We're all good.
All right, awesome.
So you
And
must
so,
have lost connection or something.
So I graduated in June of 97, and Lorena started going to school there in September of 1997. So I graduated in June, went through the whole summer, and as many of people know in this chat, the summer of your graduation year is a fun one.
Yeah.
Because you're out, you're running around, you just graduated high school. Hey, I mean, you're transitioning into the real world, but you're not quite there yet.
It hasn't hit you yet. That real world has not quite hit yet.
Exactly. Yep. And so Lorena starts going to Bernard's in September of 97. And so I was going to Santa Monica College, which is a junior college in Southern California. And what would happen is because when you're going to college, your schedule is different. You're not going to school every day if you don't want to. You can go Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. You can go at nights, whatever the case may be. So
I think a lot of us realized then too is like, you know what? The real world doesn't care if you show up or not. You have to show up.
Without a doubt. That's the one thing you learn. You learn that freshman year, first quarter. I had a professor say, "Hey, listen, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. It's as simple as that." Now, obviously there's going to be some pros to being here because you're going to learn what's going on. But if you want to come here for the midterm and the final, you can pass both without being here. Go for it. And so that's the thing, because we're paying for these courses now. It's a whole different thing. So anyway, so there you go. So anyway, I would periodically pick my cousin up from school because the high school wasn't that far from the college, and so when she needed a ride, something like that, I would pick her up. And so she was telling me, she was like, "Hey, I have a friend, who thinks you're cute or whatever. She wants your phone number." So I'm like,
I think you're cute. I think you're cute, by the way.
Appreciate that. and so I was like, yeah, give her my number. It's fine. So, but the way the story goes is that my cousin goes to Lorena and she says, "Oh, I have my cousin. He thinks you're cute. He wants your number." And she's like, "Yeah, fine. As a matter of fact, Lorena, come over." Bring her
Now,
right now.
did you even know of her at the time? Yeah, you're being told that you think she's cute.
Exactly. Never met her, didn't know her.
Wow.
So I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's cool. So I end up calling her, and we chatted for a minute. And you didn't want to bring the thing so you can hear?
The computer's delayed.
Oh, it's a delay.
It's about 7 seconds behind.
Oh, okay. Well, she's gonna come in and wave and say hello because she can't hear you guys. But so
there she is.
So
adorable.
You're adorable.
Thank you.
So what happens is we get on the phone and we have.
First of all, can I say something? Look how lovingly she sits next to you with her head on your shoulders. Yeah. You can just tell right now that you guys are meant to be together.
Thanks. He said we're meant to be.
Yeah.
I have to translate it, guys. Sorry. So what happens is we talk on the phone, and I was like, "Hey, what you got going on this weekend?" And she's like, "Well, I got plans." And I was like, "Well, listen, if your plans fall through, just let me know and we can go, hang out, have a good time." And so, we get through the week. We end up talking again, and her plans fell through. So I was like, okay, yeah, I can come pick you up, and we can hang out. So I go to her house, and it was an interesting experience. Meeting everybody for the first time. Meeting
Oh,
her
you met
mom.
everybody.
I met everybody. Yeah,
Oh,
mom,
on the first day?
on the first day,
Oh
stepdad,
my gosh.
brothers. Yeah, because she has siblings, and so yeah, I met everybody. She said, what did her mom do? So we'll get into the details. So what
You had to
happened
get
was,
you got the approval literally day one.
so what happens is her mom comes out, and I meet her, and everything. Really, really nice lady, love her to death. She is my mom. You know what I mean? Now,
Yeah.
and so but she comes out. She wants to see my ID, so I give her my ID.
What?
She went to my car, wrote down a license plate. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it was that kind of party, and it was cool. Like, cause
Yeah, yeah.
it's like, hey, whatever it is, I'm cool with that. I ain't got, yeah,
So
exactly.
can I ask you a question? Did he go, am I really getting this third degree like the first 30 minutes I'm in the room? Is this gonna be worth it?
15 minutes into the thing, I mean, it's one of those kind of things. But I'm one of those type of people. I can kind of adapt to different situations. Kind of just still be myself, be cool or whatever. I
They're
thought it
all
was cool.
saying background check, carded on the first date.
Pretty much. Yes, exactly. I mean, verified, right? But the funny thing is that, and it goes to show you how this works. Me and Lorena literally lived about 1.5 miles away from each other and never
Mm.
met each other until that point. But the other thing is, like, with Los Angeles is a huge
Oh,
city. So it's like,
massive.
right, a mile and a half, you could
Yes.
theoretically not run into somebody.
You could fit 4 freeways in that mile and a half, you know what I'm saying? Because the way LA traffic is, there's freeways that go every direction.
Yep. So what happens is we end up, eventually leaving, getting in the car. Yep. Listen, my first car was a Volkswagen GTI, 85, Volkswagen GTI. Still got it in my garage, in LA.
Still got it.
Still got it. Well,
Wow.
and it's sentimental because, it was my dad's car, and my
Uh,
dad, allowed me to buy it from him. So that's the thing. He didn't give it to me. I had to earn it. So,
mm.
I had a job at Marie Callender's, and I was working there at the age of 16. And at that time, you guys were talking about 1996. So minimum wage was $4. I was making
Yes.
$4 an hour.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, just to give you an idea what it was like. Okay,
My
and that's
my
not
first my first job was 275.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the chat can relate because
Yeah.
we lived through
Yeah.
that time. I mean, gas was
Yep.
90 cents a gallon. The whole thing. So
Yes.
anyway, um, so yeah, so we go out. We in the car about to leave. She looks at my car. Like my radio had just been stolen.
Oh my
We're looking at things. Right. Big old gas in there, wires hanging out.
Oh my God.
We had to roll the
mean,
windows down and up.
I'm 17 years old. What do you want? What do you want from me?
That's
What do you
right.
want?
That's
So,
right.
so
Dude, you
anyway,
had a car. I had a bus pass.
exactly right. Had a car, had a job. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm ahead of the game, right? So anyway, um, so we go out. There's this area close to LAX. It's actually the street's actually closed now, but it's called Sandpiper Hill.
Mm.
So with Sandpiper Hill, you would be able to go up on the hill and you'd be able to see the airplanes landing and taking off. So yeah, and it basically runs perpendicular to the street where you're able to basically drive up the coast.
Yeah.
What's the name of the street? I forget.
I don't remember, but it's
Let me
right
see.
behind Westchester Murder.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so so we go hang out there. We're talking, just getting to know each other, all that kind of stuff, and we just hit it off right off the top.
Yeah.
And so had our first kiss.
On the first date.
First kiss on the first date. um, you know, then we went down to In and Out because there's for a lot of people that have been to LA. We went to the In and Out at LAX. and it was basically when it was first built. It was like basically
Yeah.
brand new at that point. So
Yeah.
so we went down there, hung out. Did we see any people we knew? Because I'm pretty sure we did.
Like
So
half
yeah,
of my classmates worked there.
yeah, because it was just one of those kinds of
And
things.
that was my first time having In-N-Out. I've never had In-N-Out before.
There you
Before
go.
you continue, people are putting there. Renee worked for $2.10. Doris worked for 75 cents an hour. Bree wrote $1.35. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Like $1.35. Yeah, it was one of those things, you know.
Wow.
And so what happened was, we didn't want the night to end, so I was like, you know, we can go over
Wait.
to.
Gamblers Unknown just said, "I'm surprised there was a second date bringing her to In-N-Out."
Hey, Mike. Thanks for stopping in. So we have this thing about we have this thing about burgers in my live stream when we're doing jaywalk and all that stuff. I love it.
Yeah.
Basically, that whole thing can be just about food, you know, because everybody has strong opinions about
Yes,
it.
absolutely.
So that's where that comes from, guys, for the people that don't know. So anyway, Oscar De La Hoya was fighting that night. And so I was like, well, you know, we can go back to my mom's and, you know, go see some of the fight. So coincidentally, on our first date, she met my mom.
Yeah.
And I met her.
Wow.
All on the first date. So she met my sister too. My niece, nephew was there. Yeah, everybody was there because it was a big fight. And
I had already been hanging out at your house prior to meeting.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that too. So so it was a really fun night, and I had the feeling that we would, you know, go on a second date. And fast forward 25, 26 years later, we're here. So there you go.
Well, and so you say that you guys have 5 children.
We do.
Let's brag about your kids for a second.
Yeah, eldest is 19. So we got.
You guys have a 19-year-old?
Yeah, we got 2 adult children.
Oh my God! You do not. I said this. You guys do not look like you own not have a 19-year-old kid.
Yeah, exactly. I hear you. Yeah, actually going to be 20 in December.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
19, 18.
Crazy. Yep. 19. Yep. 19, 18, 14, 12, and 8.
I can't believe I had to think.
You got to run it.
One of the funny stories that Jeremy, Lorena, and I have. Ellen and I were in Vegas 6 months ago, and we spent the day with you guys, and they took us to barbecue at their favorite place, Lucille's. And to Jeremy's point, we had a barbecue place. Jeremy had a hamburger, right? He had a hamburger. Yeah,
barbecue. It's the barbecue. Okay, so it's the barbecue bacon burger. The thing is freaking amazing.
Yes,
so
it was good.
You know, with that, the first time I ever had it, it was actually like right when COVID first happened. Because at that point, you know, you couldn't go into the restaurants, you could only pick it up, things like that.
Yeah.
But my goodness, when I had it, I told Lorena, because I'm a burger connoisseur. I was like, babe,
connoisseur.
Absolutely. That thing put me, I was like, that thing put me on my back. Like it was everything you wanted, and you would just go into an instant food coma.
He didn't even look at the menu. He knew what he was ordering before he walked into the building. That's how much he liked that burger. So
the guy in general, like,
and that's okay. But the story goes, we went back downtown to goof off and look at where he does his thing now, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I think I have some free play and some free food at Circa. We go to Circa, and I had $400 free play, and I go, well, they watched us play it out. We won a couple bucks, and we go to the restaurant Saginaw's up at Circa, and I go, how much free food do I have? And the guy goes, you have $480 in free food. I'm like, what? Hey, Jeremy, take all this food back to your kids. So we got how many meals? How many meals we get? We got 15, 20 meals, and we fed your kids for a couple of days. It was awesome.
It was awesome. About Circa, when we went to Saginaw's, and he had all the free. Yeah, it was. Saginaw's was amazing. It was. Yeah, the dessert. I'm a big dessert guy.
Yes.
I'm not, but that dessert.
Yeah, Braisen's not huge into dessert.
Well, I don't know how you do it because I'm a dessert guy too, but I don't look like you. So
I have an equal love affair with working out and exercising and food, so it kind of balances itself out in some ways. Probably, not as good, you know, as you get a little older into it, because you know, when you're in your 20s,
but you earn that meal. You earn that meal. That's okay.
Exactly.
So you and I, so we're going to get into your work. Like, so for a long time, you as a working person, what did you do? And then you made.
So
We talked about it. We made a decision.
yeah, so
Yeah.
the vast majority of my work life has been in finance and banking.
Mm.
I started off my first banking job. My goodness, it was like what 2001, babe,
I think so.
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So anyway, thought it would be a good idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're fine.
Bye.
You're good. Yeah,
Bye. Bye. Bye.
she's saying bye. She wants to watch in here.
Yeah.
So
Bye.
and so yeah, started off in banking, you know, run of the mill customer service, and then eventually got into the retail side, which is more the sell side, and worked for some really big institutions down in Los
Yeah.
Angeles, some
Yeah.
smaller ones, regional banks as well. And yeah, it was interesting because literally we were having this conversation the other day. Everybody gets to that point, and I know a lot of people can relate to this, where
Hmm.
you know you have these moments that it's a moment, but you don't realize how it can move your trajectory one way or the other. And
Absolutely.
so I was working for a really big financial institution at the time. It was right as everything was going on with the banking crisis. We were talking about like oh 08, oh
Mm.
09. Okay. And, me and Lorena had just got married, and, was able to do it the way we wanted to do it because, I had to kind of build up the funds, and, we were able to have a really awesome wedding. And this was down in Palos Verdes, which is, down in South Bay.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I'm working, doing what we're doing, and I had a district manager who hired me on, and really cool guy. Just was really about the employees and looking out for employees,
Mm. Love
things of
that.
that nature. And so, a branch manager was, good people, system manager as well. So at that time, I was a personal banker, and I did a lot of business banking elements too because of where, we were. So anyway, my district manager literally one weekend, his wife was kind of on him about cleaning out the garage. So he's like, I'm just going to go ahead and get it done because
Yes.
the wife needs to, tell me to get it done. I got to get it done. So he goes out, clean out his garage. Guy gets bit by a spider and it almost kills him. Like literally, he was out for a long time.
Wow.
And so, yeah. And so what happens is in those types of situations, corporations, they won't let you go, but they have to fill the role that the person was
Yeah.
in with
Yeah.
someone else because everything has to continue like normal. So anyway, they bring in an interim district manager. This person, and obviously I won't name any names or anything, but this person came from another institution that was a rival institution of ours, and their philosophies were kind of different than the
Mm.
philosophies of the employee that I was working with at the time. So energy was different, and you could just tell that he wanted to do it much different than the way the previous district manager was doing things. And
Yeah.
so at that time I'm 28 years old, and I'm young, and I'm making what we would consider good money, and I kind of knew my worth, I knew my skill set, and you weren't going to be able to tell me something that I knew, which in hindsight, you kind of want to approach it, a little different, you know what I mean? But knowing now that I'm 43 years old, there's a
Right.
certain way
Right.
that I probably would have had those kind of conversations as opposed to when I'm 28.
What
But
do you
there's a
call it?
lot to
The level of professionalism in those conversations is paramount.
absolutely without that. You must have tact
Yes.
and things of that nature that you kind of get along the way having these kind of experiences. So, with that being said, long story short, I figured it was eventually going to be a situation where I was going to have to transition out, to something else. But, we were having this conversation. I was like, man, I think back to times like that, and I think, what happens if my district manager just would have hired somebody to clean out his garage for him? And that guy never
Oh,
takes the position.
it would have cost
Maybe
him.
things are different,
It
so who
would
knows?
have cost him 150, $200.
Simple as that.
And instead, you get bit by a black widow, who whatever kind of spider bit him,
right.
and a
But
life changing
it
moment.
exactly,
Yeah.
and how it changes not just the life of him, but the people that are in the
Yeah.
ecosystem, right? So it kind
Yeah.
of like spreads out. So, but you learn that stuff throughout time, and it's one of those things where it translates, to such a beautiful experience in my life because that's, as I gotten older, I realized, hey, my decisions don't affect just me. My decisions
Yes.
affect a
Oh my
lot
gosh.
of
Oh my god.
people, a lot of people.
And I think to your
Uh,
point too is, and our and I keep saying this, our Keno crowd is a little, is we're a more mature crowd than the regular slot community because Keno's such an old school game, and a lot of our viewers are my age or your age or somewhere in the middle there. And we were all taught in those young days, you're going to grind until you're 65, and 65 is your date, and Social Security and all these other things. And the term work-life balance was not even a phrase when you were growing up. And you're an old school guy, and I'm an old school guy. I've been grinding at the same job, and the loyalty to the company and all these other things. And I had a moment like that about 5 years ago when I caught somebody doing something to me, but behind my back, paperwork wise, I caught my old manager doctoring my performance evaluations because he had got the role in front of me, but he didn't know. I'm not tooting my own horn, but he didn't know my role. And I kept trying to say, well, you need to pick my brain because I'm on call 24 hours a day, but now you outrank me. You're on call more than me. So, but
right.
he didn't know the role. So I kept saying, and then I walk into his office after evaluate. Bubba's the best supervisor I've ever had a pleasure working with for years and years. And I kept saying, I go, dude, you need to know what I know because I'm not always available at the time, and you need to take those calls. And he didn't like my statement, and so I come in the next day, and I got to. He changed all my grades from role model to needs improvement. And I walk in, I go, what are you doing? And he's like, and it was one of those epiphany moments, like, what? I don't need this bullshit. I've been doing
Right.
this for 30 something years, and I got a guy who doesn't. And I just said, can you and I sit in a room somewhere with somebody else that doesn't know us from Adam, so there's a perspective that they can make a decision? And he wouldn't even have a meeting with me. And I'm like going, okay, let's see what we're gonna do. So then I said, they're not gonna grant a meeting with me with the HR rep who's just non-biased, and no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm like, so I made a decision. So I had actually, and it gets dark. The story gets really dark where I left work for a couple of weeks, and I contacted some people in the HR department saying, I'm not a boat rocker. I've never filed a complaint in my life, but I go, I can't work in an environment where I got a guy sabotaging my career on purpose. And I said, I'm going to look for other work. And I go, you can't leave. And I go, what do you mean I can't leave? So I applied for a couple of other jobs, got offered all three jobs. I'm the water tech industry, and it's a small circle, and I have a lot of contacts. And they just, I said, here's what's happening behind the scenes you guys don't know about. He's doing this, he's doing this, he's doing this. And then I took some leave, and they sent me away, said, take some time off, we'll do some investigating. I come back, my first day back, they're walking him out because everything I told him was true, and they caught him on it.
Wow.
And they fired my boss. And so now, after all this grind away, so now I'm the boss. So, but I have a team environment the way I lead as a team. I'm no better.
Right.
I still do line level work because if my guys are straight, hey, call me, I'll come out and I'll take care of that for you so you can keep doing your job. So,
Right.
and I think, but this one guy changed my perspective. I would have rather lay me off at that point. I'd rather come hang out with my wife,
Right. Right.
and I can find a job,
Right. Right.
yeah.
And
So
that's one thing that I think it's one of those things that get lost in the process is
yeah,
that I can definitely tell you, and I'm just so grateful for the experiences that I had because you look in the moment, it's like, man, it feels dire, but then when you look back on it, those experiences,
mm,
it's one of those things. It's like a good manager from a bad manager. Why?
mm,
Because of the experiences, right? It's you got to have those kind of things, unfortunately,
yeah,
that take place to really give you that rich perspective of, hey, listen, this, you know what I mean? Like this is
yeah,
where it's at. This we got something good going on here. Let's cultivate this and really maximize it
yeah,
because when it's to your point, what you were talking about. Listen, my dad worked for Southwest for 17 years. Before that point, when he was living in Los Angeles and, he was married to my mom, he worked at Hughes Aircraft for 15 years.
mm,
My mom, she's a legal secretary. She works for an attorney down in Los Angeles. She's been with him for over 35 years.
mm,
These kinds of things, my generation and, forward, we don't have the same liberty that, those generations had where they can be, with the same, employer. Like you were saying, you're in SeaWorld for over 35
30,
years.
almost 39 years. Crazy.
Like, and the thing is like it feels like, unfortunately, that doesn't exist as much as it did
Yeah.
when we were younger, coming
Yeah.
into the workforce and things of that nature. It's fluid now, and so
Yeah.
you definitely value when you got something good, and you want to maximize it. So
Yeah.
it's a lesson I
Can I?
learned.
Let's get some quick shout outs. Yoshi just got in the room. What's up, Yosh? Chris, my Goomba said, Bubba, did they not know who you were? How did he not play well with us? Thank you very much for that. We got Keno Kid. We got Tina Lovestruck. We got Brazen's in the house still in the back. Gamblers Unknown, but everybody loves you, Mike. Appreciate you, man. Kristen Lou. Kristen Lou's on the show in a few weeks. Slot Tip
Oh,
Jacket also on the show in a few weeks. Yoshi and the family Yoshi, they're also on the show. They're coming on the show Thursday next week. So JB from
oh,
Florida's in the house. Bries, Renee Donovan, Becky A. What's up, JB? How you doing, buddy? Doris in the house. Bries. Did I say Renee Donovan? Roseanne T. Vin Julian. How are you, Vin Julian? Annette, what's up, Nettie? Mr. James. Becky A. Don't be nervous. You're coming on soon. So, all right. Now we're going to get into your. You guys left as a family and you guys moved to Vegas not too long ago.
yep, perfect segue. And saying Chris and Lou came in, we're going to jump into how all of this came to be, and they had a lot to do with this. And so the JWalking channel. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, what happens is everybody knows the whole COVID thing and how it went down. So I was working at a financial institution, and there was a business development officer who was leaving, and she said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to this bank, really small bank. I want you to come with me,
Mm.
because we do really good work together." And I was like, I'm always open for opportunity. I was like, if it's something that makes sense, let's talk about it. So she goes over to the institution, and sure enough, literally, recruiter calls me. We have a conversation. They call me in. I meet with the CEO and CFO, and everything's great. They want me to come on. Now, mind you, guys, I'm having the interview in October of 2019. So everybody knows what that timeline's like. 'Cause that's right
It was a
as
mess.
COVID.
It was
COVID's
a mess.
about to appear, but it hasn't appeared yet, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I get in November 2019. I absolutely loved that job. It was what I wanted. So anyway, we're making things happen. COVID, kind of starts happening, and when that was going on, I was kind of, I was, I knew what was going on, but I was thinking, it's just one of those things. We'll get it under control. It's good because I just started this position. I'm like, this is the position I want to be in. A B C X Y Z. So anyway, um, we get to March 2020.
Mm.
Um, and so that's when everything shuts down.
Yeah.
And so, we're having this conversation, and they're like, well, hey, listen, we don't know what's going to go on. And so, we're basically going to cut this department that you're in. So we had 6 people that was in that department. They got rid of 5 of us. Okay. So that was it. It's as fast as the opportunity came, as fast as it left.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's March 2020. Remember, my father ends up passing in June of 2020. So he's sick. He ended up passing of cancer, prostate.
Sorry, man.
Yeah. And so what it did, it was a blessing in disguise because it allowed me the opportunity to be able to go back and forth LA to Vegas, be able to, check in on them,
Yeah.
go to the hospital, spend time with them. By then we had them transitioned into, the home. So I was able to spend time with them. I was the person that took care of, like his affairs from a financial standpoint, things like
Yeah.
that. So make sure we had all that stuff in order. So anyway, um, he passes, and COVID's still going on. So
Mm.
me and Lorena were like, hey, listen, if we're gonna do something as far as transitioning to do go somewhere else, this is probably time to look at it. And so, as the story goes, a lot of people don't know this, but Vegas was actually our third option.
Wow.
Yeah, we were really looking to move into the Inland Empire. Um, we were looking at, like, for example, like Merino Valley, places like that.
Okay.
I was willing to move as far as the high desert, like Victorville.
Yeah.
You know, so that was the second option, and then Vegas was the third.
And for those
And
who don't
so,
know in the chat from all over the country, Inland Empire and Victorville is like if you're driving to Vegas from the Los Angeles, there's Vegas and then there's Barstow and then there's Victorville and then Inland Empire. It's all that Riverside Basin kind of thing feeding
mhm,
east. So it's
exactly.
no offshore breeze. It's like you said, high desert. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
the weather's a little different up there. Weather is like Vegas weather up in the high
yeah,
desert.
yeah.
So, so anyway, long story short, we went into all those different areas, was checking out places, things of that nature. Came out to Vegas and found a place we actually fell in love with. Everything just went super
Mm,
smooth, and then we're here. So remember, at that time, no one was going to traditional schools because schools weren't open. Everything was
right.
online. So we got our kids online, which, allowed us the flexibility to be able to work from home, things of that nature, which I still do, to this day now. And so, we get out here, and mind you, at that point, Lorena, we weren't talking about, social media, having channels, none of that. We were just out here, and like I said, I just recently lost my dad at that point. So, trying to figure out life that way,
Yeah,
which was, it was definitely an interesting transition because, my dad, um, you know, a lot of people who have children, they kind of understand. It's
yeah,
one of those things. You go through a full life cycle, right? So it's one of those things where, growing up, your dad's your hero. It's
yeah.
like he's Superman. You know what I mean? And then you get into your teenage years, you start going through puberty, and he kind of tells you, "Hey, go take the trash out." And I'm thinking, why can't you take it out? I wouldn't say that out loud, right? But
Heaven
my dad's
forbid.
military.
Heaven
You got to
forbid.
understand, I grew up in a different time,
Yeah.
so I would never say something like that out loud, but I'm thinking it, right? So you have that little, right? Exactly. So
Throw your chest out. I'm a
exactly,
man.
exactly. You get into high school, you start lifting weights, you kind of think, you can test
Yeah.
the old man, right?
Yeah.
And so you had that experience, and then I transitioned into getting married, having kids, and then we just became best friends because now I'm seeing it from how he saw it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like being a dad, being a husband, having to deal with those kinds of things, and then I lose them, and so just
Mm,
trying to figure all that stuff out. And we're out here, new environment. I have some family out here, but for the most part, we really didn't know anybody out here.
yeah.
So, and so Lorena wants to start the channel, and so I'm like, okay, sounds cool to me. I mean, because you guys know I have 5 kids, I have a wife. Like social
Right.
media wasn't one of those things that like I engaged in a lot. I didn't watch a lot of stuff on social media. I never had the time.
Right.
So
And you want to start a gambling channel? It's like
because we would play and we're gamblers and it's cool,
right. Right.
But I was like, yeah, that's cool. So
Yeah.
she starts to reach out to people in the community.
Hmm.
First person we ever met was Rhino Man, Rhino
Yep.
Man show. We meet, God, I forget the casino that we met, but anyway, and so everything is new and fresh to me because I'm like, we're meeting people that are online, offline. I'm like, this sounds
Yeah.
weird. I'm like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? So because I'm not part of this yet, I'm like, this sounds weird.
Because you guys and I have now met more times off camera by far than we've ever done, you know.
So it's funny how it works. So we meet with Rhino Man, and by then we had started, doing videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You guys should do something together." And I was like, "I'm not really into this." And the one thing about the slot channel was that I wanted it to be hers. We kind of had this
Yeah.
thing where
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
like
We
she
just had
doing
this
something.
conversation. We had this conversation this weekend. We were with Kelly and Jamie from Slot 500 Club, and Jamie goes, you know, Kelly's baby is Slot 500 Club and the Beyond Blackjack channel, and we talked about it. Oh, I built this, and I wanted to. And Jamie said, you know what? I'm going to take a back seat. I'll be your guest occasionally, but you do your thing. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Absolutely, because it's
Yeah,
like, her being a mother, being a wife, it's, you want to have something that, you build as yours. You know what I mean? So we were having that conversation. I was like, listen, I'll be the cameraman. Obviously I'll support in every way I can, but I was
yeah,
like, that's hers. So that's not
yeah,
something we're going to do together. But he was like, you guys really need to, and he being Rhino Man, he's like, you really need to think about doing something together because he's like, you guys got chemistry. And so yeah, we were like, we'll talk about it and things like that. Fast forward, she does the event, the hit and quit it, and oh my god, like that was the moment for me where it opened my eyes to how this whole social media thing really,
yeah,
really goes down. Because I was like, whoa, these are some really cool people. I'm like, these are
yeah.
genuinely cool people. It's very inviting, the whole thing. So anyway, uh, we meet Chris and Lou, and
First of
shout out
all,
to Chris and Lou
first of all, one of the loveliest couples.
without a doubt.
They're so supportive, and they make time for everyone. And
Yeah, without a doubt.
we went to Florida specifically to meet them one time, and took us to a dinner and we hung out. I don't know, it was Chris and Lou. It was like 5 in the morning. We instantly bonded. We were with Slot Exotic and his wife, and Super Squirrel showed up, and I mean, I talked to them as often as I can. We're coastal, so but they just are so welcoming. I know exactly what you're saying. Again, they'll bring you in, and you're like a brother and sister now.
Absolutely. No, they,
Mm.
they, they got a special place without a doubt. So
Yeah,
I'm talking to Lou, and he's like, Jeremy, he was like, you got to get into this. And I'm like, listen, the slot channel is Brazens. I'm like, it's, I don't want to, be in front of the camera with her. I want it to be her.
yeah,
He's like, no. He's like, I get it. He was like, but trust me. He was like, you need to get into this social media thing because he was like, you have the personality for it, things of that nature. So we were kind of going back and forth. He pulls out his phone. I kid you not. This is how this all went down, guys. He pulled out his phone and he was like, listen, he's like, let me show you some stuff. He was like, look at these. He's like, look at some of these channels. I forget the ones that we saw, but it was one where like, I don't know, the guy had like 65,000 subscribers. He's like, look at this guy. He's like, all he does is walk around Las Vegas.
yeah,
I was like, that's it? And he was like,
yeah,
and this guy got over 60,000 subscribers. I was like, well, I
yeah,
can walk around Las Vegas. I was like, I can do
yeah.
that. You know what I mean? And that's how jaywalking started.
Right.
And that's literally how it happened. It was us having a conversation with Rhino Man first. Fast forward a few weeks, and then I'm having a conversation with Lou. I go back home, and me and Lorena are talking about. It's like, yeah, let's just try this thing out. So we try it out. Literally, I don't have 50 subscribers, so I got to do it through Instagram. So I'm going Instagram live. Literally, my first live, I had two people in the live stream. You were one of them.
I was one of them. I knew. That's right. I remember that
I'm
day.
telling you guys
I
how it
know.
went. Like it
Yeah,
literally happened that way. And fast forward, we're doing it every Sunday,
I
having a ton
know.
of fun, and
It's a
a
ton of
few hundred
fun.
people in the chat, and yeah, it's just, and just me. Like one of the coolest things about doing it is, like we were saying before, it's the people you meet. I've met
Yeah,
so many
so
people
many.
because it's one of those things where I feel like there was still a disconnection for me personally, where it's like I'm doing it and I'm reading the comments on the screen and you're seeing the people's names pop up and you're greeting people and you're engaging
Yeah,
with them, interacting with them. But then you literally see these people eventually in person and it's like, oh man, you know what I mean? This is
I
this person,
know.
that's that person. And
Yes.
it's like,
That's
it's
the
really neat.
Kino Nation group, and I talk about all the time because there's the slot channel gatherings and there's the events, the fiestas and the hit it and quit it, and we've done every one slots, and those are so much fun. But and I think you're the same way because your viewers, when you show the Fremont or you show the new Sphere, which is off the chain cool, um, there are people that don't get to get out to where you're at, but once every 3 or 4 years, and Vegas changes on a dime. You're showing things that people don't get to see because that's Fremont. If you guys don't know Fremont experience, that's not a normal place, because people, half naked women running around and taking pictures, and they rent the bus called the busker spot, and they own that spot for how many hours they have it rented for, and they have to stand there. The stripper guys with the whip, and I always make fun of you guys. Get the whip, Jeremy. Go get that whip, man. And Brazen's going out there, and she has her guys that always they know who you guys are. And when you're doing your thing, there's also 12 other channels showing the exact same thing you are, and all of them are doing well. because
Right.
that Fremont Vegas experience, it's not normal because
It's a
people let
once
their
in a
hair
kind
down.
place. Yeah,
They let
it's a
their hair
one of a
down.
kind place.
Yes.
And it was one of those things where, like I said, when we're going through it, these are the things that I honestly didn't really think about these things. I was just like, hey, let's turn the camera on because I'm the type of person like I'm the action oriented person. So it's like, hey, we want to do this, let's go do it. Right.
I want
So
to interject one more second here. I go, Keno Kid makes a good point. He goes, I want to tell you how awesome Lorena and Jeremy are. We met them one time and you showed up to their wedding.
yeah, yeah.
I
We
mean, that's
them,
a
man. They're
microcosm.
awesome. No, come on.
Yeah, they're
Don't,
awesome.
listen. Don't be over here trying to make us cry and stuff like that, man. You know you're awesome. You know your wife.
Because
But no,
he's usually
seriously,
saying
yeah.
something very smart alecky, but he actually has a very touching moment. I mean,
Listen. Let's hit that for a quick second because I remember when Lorena was like, "Hey, we got invited to the wedding," and I was like, "Seriously?" And she was like,
exactly.
let's go, let's do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it really touched us because I was like, dude, like they invited us to their wedding. Like that's a
yeah,
big deal. You know what I mean? Like, and
yeah,
it was really cool. I mean, we had such a good time. It was like one of those things where it's like a cross section of all these social media channels because
yeah.
it's so many different kinds that are there, and
Mm,
everybody was just super cool. And I thought it was really really neat that they allowed us to be able to be a part of that experience. Like it
yeah,
was it was super cool, and we told them that. But
yeah,
it's worth saying again. It was like wow, like they allowed us to be a part of their day because that's their day,
yeah,
that's their moment.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, shout out because
And it's a risk
cool.
because the people like you, and I'll even mention Melly and David in the New York area, we've opened up our lives to, in a sense, the world and whoever wants to come and enjoy our lives. Melly's family just went on an amazing vacation together and they showed it to all. We were just on a vacation and we showed snippets of all these foreign countries that I've never been to in my life. And the risk involved in that is the scrutiny that comes along with it, because there are a fair amount of people who do that will throw that negative comment. So, does it sour you on this experience, or do you want to do it? I don't. I haven't had a lot. My biggest thing is people saying I talk too much. Well, you know what? I talk too much. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You bring up an excellent point, and it's one of those things where it's social media, so you got to understand. And
Yeah,
my viewpoint on it is that you're absolutely right. We're opening up, an element of our lives to people that we don't know, because it's in the public sphere,
mm,
it's out there. You know what I mean? And so, with me personally, I'm able to understand that, hey, it's gonna be some wackadoos out there. You know
yeah.
what I mean? It's just the way it works.
Yeah. There is. You
And
know.
so, my wife, God bless her, she's a little more like, hey, I'm gonna just smash this down right now, which is fine because it creates that it gives us a healthy balance because it's not
Yeah.
one of those things where, we're
Yeah.
constantly just gonna nail people right into the ground, but at the same time, we're not just gonna let stuff slide either if
Yeah.
something comes up, which it very rarely does. But
Yeah, listen,
cover my
99.9% of my experience with all my YouTube, like Chris and Rick and all those guys, and all of our Renee Donovan, I'm so close with them. We send, but off camera, we send emails, and I get a couple of viewers like Renee Donovan, who's a very dear friend of ours, and I would have never met her in my life if it wasn't for this. She sends me funny stuff to make my day 3, 4 times a week. She sent me this dancing couple last night, dancing some old thing, and that couple was getting it too. And then we send our wins and our Keno. We hate Keno. Oh, we love Keno. Well, we hate Keno. We love, and I've mailed presents to people I've never met. Still haven't met them to this day of my life. Like there are bucket list people I still want to meet. I want to meet David and Melly. Like you have no idea, but I feel like they're my family. Never met them in my life. I just spent one day hanging out with Kelly and Jamie through this social media thing, and I'm all about people. I just freaking love people and from all walks of life, and I can't wait to hear everybody's story. So that's why I created this. You're doing the jaywalking, and I created once YouTube went to this whole split screen thing. We tried a Keno split screen with Quick Honey Slots. Like, you know what? I go, I think we have a chance to meet our viewers, which is why we have channels. We're not even a channel without the Keno kids and the Renees and the Vance Grady's and the Becky A's and the Mima Bronco who's in the house. Um, I can't wait to meet every single one of you guys, and I don't think I'll ever stop doing this. Even if one person's watching, I don't care. I just
That
want to meet. I want to meet people.
listen, brother, you covered so much ground right in that space, and it's so true. It's the one thing I underestimated about this was the connection you make to people
Yes.
through doing this. Because again, for me, when I go out on Fremont Street and I'm out there with, Brazen, I'm spending time with my wife and I enjoy that, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then people come in and hang out in the chat. And I tell people this, the people that have been there, since day one, right? You cannot underestimate how cool it is when it's just 20 of your
Killing me,
serious
Renee.
friends just
Renee.
hanging
Thanks,
out.
Renee. Yes. And on top of that, all the chatters are now friends. All the viewers are now friends. It's amazing. This is the beauty of. There's a lot of crap with social media. There is a lot of crap, trust me. But the beauty of it is I have 30 people in there, and it could be 100, it could be a million. It doesn't bother me.
Doesn't
It's
matter.
now people that I've connected with that we all have our regulars, right? I have
Right.
my 30 to 50 guys that are there all the time, and Briess, and I just the connection with people. And I know this is a gambling thing, and we've started here, but um, here's how funny the Keno thing is. So I had a couple of big wins in Yamaba this weekend. I posted a Keno short with me winning $900, and then I posted 5 minutes later. I was playing this poker, this new game called Multiplier Rising thing. The Keno video in the first 5 hours got 90 views. The poker video got over 1,000 views in less time. So did we pick a weird Keno thing because our Keno crowd is it's an older crowd, it's kind of an old school game, but the video poker crowd is immense, right? So but I don't care that I chose the wrong. It's not a wrong genre. It's just what I do, but it's more about the people and I
Correct.
meeting
And
you. I mean, I would have never met you and your lovely wife without this. And now
exactly.
you and I are going to talk sports and kids and work-life balance for the next 30 years, right?
Right, right. You see, that's my thing too. There is no wrong
There's no
because
wrong.
it's one of those things where and
Oh my God,
again,
Roseanne T, $5 super chat. Features so much super sticker. Thank you so much.
and so yeah, it's funny because like going through this process, even with jaywalking, and it's like figuring out, okay, what are we going to cover? What are we not? How are we going to do things?
Yes.
There's no right or wrong. You know what I mean? We just do it and we hang out, we have a good time. People
Yeah.
show up,
Yeah.
and
Becky
like you said,
Becky
we're
A made
showing.
us. Becky A just made a fun statement. She says when Sister Yoshi brought her to Circa and walked over and said, hey, she wanted to meet you. And I said, do you want to do a cash out crazy? What do you mean? I said, you're going to stand here, you're going to say your name, where you're from. It's time to cash out. And I've had a couple of videos where I feature the viewers, and because it's not about me. It's about, and every year I do a cash out crazy video all about nothing but the viewers spending 5 seconds of their time on camera, goofing off and saying, "I just kind of." Becky A did one, and when I met her at Circa at the sports bar, staring at the screen, I thought she was just this beautiful lady that Sister Yusha brought over. And now you guys are going to get to enjoy her because she's going to be on the show on October 28th. She's nervous as heck.
Nice.
Doris, and because
Awesome.
you guys have a story to tell. Everybody has a story, and I said it last week. I said we're all born and we all get to this one spot. That's 100% factual. But the path to get to this spot is the most interesting. I talk about the human experience all the time. I love people, and I know we're going. But I appreciate you being here. But I want to get to your sports betting stuff because I know we all
Of
have
course.
gambling stuff. Um, you're a big Dodgers guy. Not a big Dodger fan here, but because
It's
born in San
okay.
Diego.
We
What do
all
you think about
you
this
know.
whole Pac-12 insanity? Because you're a USC Trojan guy.
Yeah, yeah.
They just dissolved the entire league in the span of like 2 months.
Yeah, man, that's hard because
All for money. It's all about money, football money.
it is.
That's it.
Yeah, and football runs the stuff. With
Football
the
runs the country. Yeah,
universities,
it's crazy.
right? That's how the vast majority of them make their money and make it through football. So obviously, it's one of those things. It's really unfortunate because again, like you said, I grew up in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
big USC fan. Me and my dad used to go to the Coliseum, watch the Trojans play. I've seen so many games.
Oh my gosh.
Watching just so many amazing athletes. I mean, obviously, like I said, a huge Trojan fan. So obviously, watching like the Carson Palmers, Reggie Bush,
Marcus
you
Allen.
know, yeah, right. Well, that was a little bit before my time because I was
Yeah,
little,
yeah.
but he was doing it.
I played football and baseball against his brother, Damon Allen. Damon Allen went on to play 20 years as a quarterback for the Edmonton Eskimos in Canadian football. That whole family was, I mean, they grew up down the street from where I grew up downtown. They went to Lincoln High School in San Diego. We were the rival schools. I played against all the Allen guys.
Yep, and then Marcus came up. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Went to USC. Yeah, and then obviously I got to watch, who they played against. So I got to see Aaron Rodgers when he was at Cal. I got to see
Yes.
Marshawn Lynch. I mean,
Yes.
so I'm a firm believer. You know, I love tradition personally,
Mm.
and I think that's what makes college sports great is the traditions, knowing that the Pac-12 was going to play the Big Ten and the Rose Bowl.
In the Rose
You know,
Bowl. Doesn't exist anymore.
Right. I had the privilege of going to two Rose Bowls. I went to one where SC played Michigan. Shout out to Gamblers Unknown. That's where SC beat Michigan that year.
I
I'm just
went
saying
to
it
I went to
happened.
I went to Michigan because my brother-in-law in Seattle, they're huge Washington Husky fans, and they couldn't go. They gave us their tickets to Huskies versus Michigan. The running back for Michigan was Enos Watley, who was a stud, and the
Right.
quarterback for Washington was Mark Brunell. And it was a 38-36 shootout that Michigan won literally in the last few seconds of the game with amazing game because I've never been anywhere. The San Diego State plays in a smaller stadium, but there was 109,000 screaming fans in that. It's a bowl. The Rose Bowl is no joke. It's a big bowl, but it
Yeah.
seats nearly 110,000 people, and there wasn't a seat empty in those games. It's just amazing.
It's funny you say that because of the 12, well, the former 12 schools, Pac-12, I got to go to three stadiums. It was, obviously Coliseum. I
Yeah,
went to the Rose Bowl because USC played UCLA, and
yeah,
that's UCLA's home field.
yeah,
And I got to see Rose Bowls, where
yeah,
Pac-12 played the Big Ten, and it was Husky Stadium in Seattle. I'm telling you right
yeah.
now, that
It's
was
surprising.
that was the loudest
Yes,
stadium.
yes.
And one thing I can tell you too, because we went up there, SC was playing Washington. The people up there were just amazing, because we had our USC stuff on, but they
Yeah.
never made us feel like, we weren't welcome, things like that. Because you can go to some of these places and
Oh my
it
God.
can get ugly,
There when
and it was not that way. It was
yeah.
really, really great. But yeah, it's just sad to see that it's happening, and it's really based off of money, and it's unfortunate, but
Because we here in
nothing
San
lasts
Diego,
forever.
we're huge. San Diego State is considered like the little brother of the pack. We're the best team in a lot of sports in the Mountain West, but it's a little brother league, right? So, and we were set to join the Pac-12 this year with another team because they were going to go to Pac-14, or because everything in the Pac-12 is in pairs: Washington State, Oregon State, Arizona State, USC, UCLA, Utah, Colorado, and Stanford and Cal. I mean, it's traditionally everything's in pairs, and we were getting ready to be invited, but behind the scenes the league was making deals with the Big Ten and the Big 12, and at San Diego State, we're now the little brother again because there's no league to go to because the league doesn't exist anymore.
Right, right, yeah. So come over.
No,
Uh,
she brought pictures.
come here. She brought pictures.
Absolutely, that's
So see, she brought a couple pictures we can share. So
yeah.
this is, I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's my dad and I.
Oh,
Uh,
that's awesome.
yep. So that was right before he moved to Minneapolis. I was 20. I think I was 20. I was 20. There you go.
Couple of handsome dudes right there.
There you go. So this is.
See if they can find you.
Oh my God, Aurora, how are you? Aurora from Philippines. What's up? How you doing, friend?
All right. So
There we go. Baseball picture.
that's me. That's my dad. So kind of give you
Nice.
guys an idea. And then that was 92. And then this was, so kind of give you an idea of how
Yeah.
small I was at that time, right?
But hold
92.
on, you got a couple of big dudes on that team.
Yeah, with some big boys. Let's go big boys. And then fast forward, that was 95, and I'm in the middle there. I don't know if you guys can see, but
Yeah.
you see how, I had that little growth spurt that kind of happened in those couple of years. So kind of give you guys an idea. Thanks, honey, for the assist
Since you
there.
guys are talking about sports.
Yeah, since we're talking about sports and everything.
That's
So
right. So
there you go.
now let's segue to you. So you love sports betting.
Yes.
Yeah, so we all have the beats. I've had beat stories that are you come down to the last second, and like one of my most hateful moments, and I talked about earlier in my the videos way back in month, maybe a year ago. One of the last sports bets I ever made was Arizona State Arizona football game, and the line is 2.5, and Arizona State's up by 4 with the ball with 6 seconds to go, and all we have to do is get off a punt, and then the game ends and I win the bet. And it's a 14 part, and I put a pretty picture of money on that bet. And I'm 3 for 3 going that game. And then the coach decides we're just going to take a sit. So the punter catches the ball and just runs 40 yards backwards out the back of the end zone to give the other team 2 points. But the clock runs out, right? So they can't lose the game, right? But we're in the casino at Caesar's Palace going, oh no, what the fuck are you doing? And but it's the right coaching decision. There's no transition of the ball. You just tuck it and you run out the end zone. The clock. But it cost the room went absolutely ape s because it changed the bets. I mean, like that.
You know,
Those
we're gonna
nightmare
have
sports.
we're probably gonna do another live just for that discussion alone, because I can't tell you how many times. But it's actually happened on both sides of it.
Yeah, I
So
know.
I can tell you because I talk to Mike about this pretty often. Us gamblers unknown, and so one of the things I
Hey,
love,
Pamela.
one of the things I love is doing March Madness.
Yes.
And so, but it's one of those things I've kind of noticed in the last 3 years where right before the tournament starts, you have conference tournaments. Okay.
Yes.
So what happens is, I'm not going to name the actual sports book itself, but there's an app, and it's a popular app that you use. But I noticed that the lines, they weren't really congruent. So what I was realizing was that I was like, man, a lot of these lines, are coming in under. And so literally, I there was one streak I had where I literally started with like $10. And I was just doing single bets each game. Because remember what happens with these tournaments is that you'll start at 8 o'clock in the morning and
Yes.
you'll have all these tournaments going on until 8 o'clock at night. And so
Lots of action.
absolutely. And so literally I had it where I was started with $10, bet one in the under, roll it into the next set of games, the under, next set of games, the under. And, I think I hit like 7, 8 in a row, just betting the
Wow.
unders, because you can see that for whatever reason that sports book didn't they didn't have the numbers right. Now, what would happen though is the next set of tournaments, by the time we get to March Madness, they corrected it because obviously everything's based off of data and the
Yeah.
algorithm. So the algorithm kind of, they tweak it until it fits. So, you can't do that same strategy 3 weeks from then when the tournament's actually on because
Yeah.
it's much more in alignment. But I can't tell you how many times, I've had a game where, the line is 160 and a half, right?
You know that half point screws you every time.
And the final score is like 81-80, or
I know.
and you're like,
I
I
know.
lost by a half point, like, so yeah, yeah. But I've won them that way too. So
I
it goes
know.
both ways.
Yeah, I've had bets back in the days, and there was Pearl Washington used to play for the Syracuse Orangemen back in the day as the point guard, and the line is 140.5 on the over, and some team hits a layup to put it at 140 with 2 seconds on the clock, and and Pearl Washington hit a 75-foot jumper at the buzzer to cover, and I'm like, oh, oh, here we, you never know. And sports books go crazy one way, and it's because Vegas. What if you guys don't understand sports betting? Vegas doesn't care who wins the game. They just because
Doesn't.
it's called the VIG. They want to make 10% on every bet, so they want to move the betting line number up and down the run. So let's say there's 200 bettors. They want 100 people to bet on one side and 100 people to bet on the other side. So they're guaranteed to make 10% no matter who wins the
No
game.
matter who wins.
That's what the betting line is all about. That betting line on certain like Super Bowls, a perfect example was when the Chargers played the 49ers. The original line was 14.5 because the Niners were a dynasty team, huge favorite. The line got bet to 19.5. Every bet was coming in on the 49ers. Nobody was betting. They had to keep moving that number so far up to get people to start betting on the Chargers, which of course I did. I had everybody at work. We piled a big money. I don't know, 3 or 4 grand in a bag, and I said, I'll go bet it. I'm going to go watch the game in Caesar's Palace, and I bet the whole bag on the Chargers at plus 19 and a half, and of course the 49ers cover that number. So, but
Right.
Vegas actually lost on the game because I would say 85% of the bets came in on the 49ers.
Right.
So, and that's a risk as a bookmaker you take, but they keep moving that number up and down the run, and that's what's called the VIG.
Right.
Yes.
And it's amazing because the stuff we're talking about right now, I talk about this all the time. It's like it's amazing that you have professional gamblers
Yes. They do
because
nothing but that.
right, because it's like you have to go through all of that on a daily basis because
Yes.
this is how you're making your money. So you know
Yeah.
you're going to lose some, you know you're going to win some, and it's like they I guess the statistic is like they say, hey, listen, they're 57% or better, then that you can be a professional gambler. But it's just that means you're going to lose 43% of the time. It's just
Right.
yeah, on a professional level, they're better than me.
Yeah, because as the better, you have to cover the VIG. That's why you have to be more than 50%, because if you're losing 10% every bet and you go 50-50, you've just lost hundreds of dollars. You've lost money. So you have to go almost 60% in your wins. And if you go to if you've ever been to casinos, and I see them all the time, it's the guy that's kind of dressed beat down and he's got a backpack on his shoulder. That backpack is filled with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, because I've been behind a guy that walked up, and I remember he bet the Thursday night game, the Detroit, Minnesota, and he goes, give me 10 dimes on the Lions at -4.5. Well, 10 dimes is $100,000. He peels off 10 wrapped, you know, and he bet the $100,000 and didn't. And I know, I'll go, I just watched the game because I want to see if the guy's going to win. And then he lost the bet. I go, that guy just lost $100,000 betting the Lions on Thursday Night Football.
And you bring up a good point too, because the one thing I kind of learned early on in this, especially because when I first turned 21 and I would go to sports book with my dad, we put it back down, and I'd be so excited, especially if we won.
Yeah.
And my dad was an even kill kind of dude. He was like, "Listen, you remember this?" He was like, "You might have won that bet, and you're yelling and screaming, and you're sitting next to somebody who had the opposite side,
Mm-hmm.
and they might put the electric bill on that."
Yeah.
And they lost. Now they got to figure out. So you kind of want to keep cool with that kind of stuff, and that's the way I approach it too, because it's kind of like I don't want to be dancing in the aisle like some people do, which is fine. I mean, you teach their
Yeah.
own,
Yeah.
but there's somebody on the other side of that, and you got to kind of keep that in mind. Little stuff like that you kind of learn.
Renee Donovan says, why would anyone bet the Lions? You got to remember, back in that day, Barry Sanders was still playing. They were actually pretty decent. Yeah.
Barry was nice.
Yeah. Sports bet. I mean, we've all, the sports betting it's because it's a 3 hour investment, and you can bet like a slot machine players or the Keno players. You're betting $2, $2, just that fast, right? Well, that $2, if you look at your play and your player's card and you pull up we all have our win-loss statements at the end of the year, and you go, I gambled $100,000. I'm like, what? I mean, because that $2 adds up so fast. Or a guy walks up and bets $100,000 and bets it on one game. He can sit back, have a dinner, not even watch the game, come back 2.5 hours later, watch the fourth quarter. So
exactly,
it is the pros bet sports because they get all the inside injuries. They have more insider information. Back in the old days, the Stardust used to be the standard. They would start the opening line, and all the lines were bet out of the Stardust, and then all the other casinos at Sportsbook now would adapt to the line of the Stardust. And then there are professional. Some guy mentioned, I think Mike mentioned Steve Stevens. There were guys that would adjust the line. I said, well, I know that line on this particular game's off, so I'm going to bet this side. And then the casino would change the line, bet, because the big bettors would come in. Also, there are the gambling aspects. University of San Diego as a other Division I basketball team in town, and they had just beaten UConn in the NCAA tournament the year before, and we had a point guard named Brandon Johnson. And that's not the school I typically cheer for, but they made the tournament, and they beat UConn with Jim Calhoun. They had an amazing team, and they won the first round game and lost the second round. Well, the next year, the gamblers got a hold of Brandon Johnson, and he got caught for shaving points on games. So, and how casinos know that it's happening is because nobody bets on USD games. I mean, USD is a small D1 school, and they play a lot of games that nobody cares about. But Vegas had algorithms before algorithms were even a thing. They would
Right.
go. Typically, a USB basketball game would be you might get $10,000 in action nationwide, right? Well, those particular games, next thing you know, why is $400,000 being bet on the USD St. Mary's game? No,
Right.
nobody bets that game. So then they watch it, and they can roll back video footage and this and that, and all of a sudden Brandon Johnson, who averages like 1 turnover a game, all of a sudden he's got 6 turnovers in a game they should
Exactly.
win by 20 points, and they still win the game, and the line is like 17 and a half or whatever it is, but they win by 14, and
Right.
it looks normal to the normal person. But if you've been around gambling your whole life, like I'm not saying I'm this smart guy, but I've been around gambling my whole life. We've taught our kids how to gamble. My stepfather taught us how to gamble. I played craps and with Charles Barkley and Rodney Dangerfield. And I'm not saying I'm this genius guy, but I've been around a lot of gambling. I've done all avenues of gambling, and the most crooked one of the most crooked is sports betting because, and now that you have casinos sponsoring teams and teams are now going to Vegas sponsored by casinos and the online apps at the college games now show the sponsor of MGM.com casino. Is that college games now? You can't tell me. And with the NIL money, with the kids are getting paid now to play college sports, you can't tell me that there's not going to be games that are going to be fixed because there's even more money in sports.
Bring up an excellent point. I feel like, especially like NFL, is one of the
Mm,
hardest because it's so funny how they always have the lines almost right. It's like 3.5, and the
yes,
team wins
they're
by
so
3,
smart.
and it's like, man, how can you be this good? It does make you wonder because it's like, being a sports better, I'm the type I kind of look to, okay, where are the masses not at, right?
Right.
Because where they are, it's just gonna be too, one way or the other. Because like you said, they want it on both sides. This is how that they'll win because, like you said, the big in the middle. So they want money on one side coming in. They can't lose, right?
Yes. Yes. They
So,
don't care.
but you're right. It's one of those things where it's like there's so much money
Yeah.
involved nowadays. It's just, it's you have to be so plugged in to even have a shot. The novices like myself, it's like
Mm.
we just do it for fun because we know there's going to be times and you're looking at stuff, you're watching the game,
Yeah.
and you're looking at it, you're like, nah, this doesn't look right.
And
It doesn't
and
smell
as a
right.
smaller player, you understand this as a smaller player, because the big bettors bet one game and they want to win one game. But casinos offer parlays because the smaller player, I want to be able to bet $100 on three teams because it's 6 to 1, right?
Right.
And the professional gamer wants to bet $100,000 on that game, $100,000 on that game, and if he's hoping to go 2 out of 3. But I have to go 3 for 3 to
Exactly.
win my bet because I want to bet small. If I want to bet 100, I want to win 600. They only need one, and so that's why it's hard to win a betting sports game. But that's why they offer the parlays because the payoffs are so 3 to 1, 13 to 5, 6 to 1, 10 to 1, 20 to 1. As you keep adding teams, sure, you can have a 5 team parlay. Sure, you can bet all the, they want you to bet that 5 team parlay because you ain't going to hit it.
I
So,
think it's funny you say that. Two funny quick stories. So, the biggest parlay I've ever hit, as far as like the actual how many teams were involved, I hit a 5 teamer twice.
mm,
But I gotta give credit because one of those 2 times, my son actually picked the winners. And so what was happening because we would do fun stuff at the house. I would give Lorena a paper and say, hey, circle 5 teams that you like. These 5 games, we'll see.
yeah,
Do it for my son. My eldest kid too. So we were looking at the stuff, and I'm like, yeah, these picks are not gonna win, right? But I was like, I put it anyway. I was like, I put it anyway.
right. You'll bet a
So
$5 for him, yeah, for your son.
I'm looking at my son's games, and I'm like, oh, I'm looking at the
The
points
line,
halftime. I'm like, okay, we got some action.
yeah,
So first 3 games win, we got 2 left. I'm like, wow, he actually might win this parlay. But looking at it before everything started, I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, there's no way that team's gonna beat that
yeah,
team. That's just not gonna happen. So anyway,
yeah.
he ends up winning. And then I had one 5 teamer that I hit too. Now I have a buddy of mine. I think he did a 12 team parlay. Literally, like you said, $5 bet. That kind of thing.
But it can pay like 10,000. It pays. It's off the charts. From yeah,
Crazy. And so, he's watching the games with his wife, and they're going through the process. And okay, they won six in a row. Nice. Okay, still got five to go, or whatever it was. So then they're getting down to the Sunday night game. They have all the games won. Okay, so they have all the games won except for one. They get to the
Oh my
Sunday night
gosh,
game,
peeing your
right?
pants at that point.
And my man Peyton Manning laid an egg that night. That's how he
Oh
ended
my
up losing the
gosh,
parlay.
that's
But but
something.
but but getting 11 out of 12 is
Yeah,
preposterous. I mean, that
preposterous.
like hardly ever happens.
Yeah,
And that's how you lose so it's
yeah,
like, yeah, it can be heartbreaking.
yeah. I mean, the basketball, I've had 16 parlays. I'm 5 for 5, and some guy hits a half court shot to beat you. Or I mean, so if you watch Van Pelt on ESPN, he does the late. He's called the Bad Beats, where
Yeah.
some guy falls down and the guy with the clock running out and he calls timeout with a half a second to go so he can get fouled and shoot a free throw and the free throw beats you. Like, why are you calling timeout with a half a second to go down 10? And the line's 9.5. You
Well,
know,
and it's like the meaningless three-pointer. Like,
meaningless. Yeah,
when everybody's like running out the clock and the kid
yeah.
just,
They
shoots a
call
three just and it goes in, you're like, oh no.
a lot of they call it garbage time in games when the game's over and you throw the second and third string and say, "Hey, here's your 30 seconds of fame. Go and play in front of your mom and dad," and he'll throw some garbage jumper up there and cost you as the better. You don't care if that kid's mom's watching the game or not. You better miss this shot, and then they make it. So, oh my God, we've been having so much fun talking. Like I said, Jeremy and Lorena, they've been to Keno Nation 2. They've been to all four of them. The first one was small, but they've been to all of them. And there's some always questions. The Keno Nation dates are being selected coming up. We've got it narrowed down. Brian's finalizing some details out there. Um, and it's between three properties like I said, asking us to be at their property and utilizing their services. So, and like Brian will mention when he finally puts it together, he said he's going to have it by the end of August, but we're asking a lot for the people who attend. We want a poolside party. We want all the booze and food. And so we're in a position now that if you have three properties vying for our events, I mean, like I said, what casino wouldn't want 125 gamblers to spend 3 days on their property playing Keno or whatever they're playing, right? So we have a little leverage on the negotiation side. So working on it for you guys. And Brian and I are going out to Vegas, and I'm sure I'll see you uh, September 29th, 30th, and the 1st. And we're actually walking a couple of properties and saying, here's what we'd like to offer you guys. So we're going to make that. So right after that, we'll definitely have dates. So man, dude, I could talk to you for days. We haven't even. I haven't even asked you the questions on the backside. So, well, I
So
want to get you. The last one I want to
we'll
talk
do
about.
it. We can always do it again. We can
Oh
always
my
do it
gosh,
again.
I
For
do want to
for
ask about
future.
you because it says you're a bit of a kitchen guy. You're a cooker.
Yeah. So, absolutely love. I have a love of food, no doubt about it. That's one of the things that me and Lorena bonded over early in the process.
So you
So
went
we're
from
always
In-N-Out
hanging out.
Burger to Jeremy cooking gourmet meals. Is that what it
Well, listen, I believe
is?
in efficiency because when you have a big family,
Yeah. Oh my
hey, kids are
gosh.
coming
Yes.
in,
Yes.
people are hungry, they want to eat now, so I have a few go-tos that I've kind of done over the years. You adapt over the years,
Yeah.
but especially when we're having like me and Lorena, we have our little special time. We'll do our steaks, with some sautéed spinach, homemade
Plus,
mac
to
and
get
cheese,
five
stuff like that.
kids, because kids are finicky and picky, to get five kids on a menu for the evening, it has to be because Jane doesn't like this and Joe doesn't like this, and so
Yeah, you're gonna have to get your chili cheese dogs in there. You're gonna have to get your pizza in there and
yeah,
things like that. Yeah, you got to mix it all in. The one thing I realize is that obviously food has nutritional value. You want to be able to get them as much as you
oh
can,
my gosh,
because they're growing.
yeah,
But you better get that pizza in every once in a while too to kind of keep everybody
yeah.
rolling.
But those takeout nights for a family of five kids and you two guys, those are not cheap, and
No,
now
you
with today's pricing now on food, oh
gotta
my
there
gosh,
you go. Oh well, listen, listen. I remember back because we're talking about senior year of high school in 1997. I remember going to McDonald's and getting a number one. It was like two cheeseburger meal or something like that for three
yeah,
dollars.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's a whole different world nowadays.
Here's how
So
bright I am. Here's how bright I am, Jeremy. I did not know this is, and you're gonna laugh. All you guys are gonna laugh at me. I thought when you pulled In-N-Out Burgers, Ellen loves In-N-Out Burger. I hate the fries at In-N-Out Burger, so I don't go unless she's going. Um, I did not know if you could order the combo one. I thought it was a discount price. It's not. It just makes it easier to order. And I'm like, what? I go, okay, I just want the hamburger. And I go, Bob, get the combo because it's easier. And I go, but I don't want the fries. She goes, well, and I go, if you order the burger and it's the same price. I go, I thought the combo 1, 2, 3 was a discount. She goes, no, it just makes it easier to order. And I go, I had no idea for 2 decades that, like at McDonald's, you save 50 cents if you order the combo 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the numbers are. But don't laugh at me, folks. In-N-Out, it just makes it easier to
It's
order.
not. Yep, exactly.
You don't save one penny.
So it's funny you say that because we literally went to In-N-Out yesterday, and yeah, you're right because what happens is we didn't order drinks because we have drinks at home.
Yeah,
So it's like, listen, I'm gonna order the burgers, order the fries, but the thing is like because I gotten so accustomed, everybody likes the same thing, they get
yeah,
the same thing, so
yeah,
it's one of those kinds of things where
yeah,
it makes it easier.
yeah. Man, thanks for coming on today.
Of course.
And don't forget JWalking Vegas every night on Sundays at 6:30.
6:30 p.m. Pacific
Correct.
time.
I
Yep.
know people have shared the link earlier. And then on when he calls what's it called, the Walking Wednesday, Wandering Wednesdays. He does the same thing on Wednesdays. He shows all of Las Vegas. I want to get some shout outs again because Jeremy was on today, but next Sunday, Ann Stevens from Circa, and she has, you guys all saw Susan VP. She told some heartwarming stories about her parents, and actually got a little of her klimped, and it was quite a moment. It was really cool. Ann Stevens' story, and I'm thankful that she's going to share it. But she's got some heartwarming stories that she can't wait to share with you guys, and she's going to tell them. So I can't wait for you guys to see. So make sure you check out next week from today, August 20th. Ann Stevens. I met it with the Yoshi family this past weekend, and they go, we want to join. So next Thursday, a week from the August 24th, the Yoshi family, not a YouTube story. It's about the Yoshi family growing up. And we're going to have Mama, Sister Yoshi, and Yoshi telling their life story on our channel on Thursday, the 24th. The following Sunday, August 27th, Lee McGrew from Vegas Girl Slots. I can't forget that right. She'll be on September 3rd, Diana Boyd. And then the following Thursday, September 7th, the Kino Warriors. Felix and Valerie will be on. They can't wait to tell their story. Jackie from the Slot City Travel Group. And the much anticipated on September 17th, Rainmaker. Rainmaker is going to come on and tell all about the family quick hundy. It's going to be a lot of fun. He's hilarious. Chris and Lou will be on September 24th. October 1st, the jeweler to the celebrities, Billy and his wife Marissa. Billy's connected in the celebrity community, and he does a lot of jewelry for he does a lot of NBA stars jewelry and those guys. And then we take a vacation to Greece, and we're coming back from that on the 20th of October. Becky A will be our guest. If you want to be a guest and share your story, please email me at james@jscashout.com. james@jscashout.com. If you want to tell your story, please, we'd love to have you. It's all about you guys sharing your stories. Jeremy and Brazen, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, absolutely. No, my pleasure. Listen, keep doing what you're doing, Bubba. It's a really
Thanks,
cool
man.
form. It's a lot of fun. It's a really cool thing, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Like I said, you have me back on. We can, do a little part 2. Talk a little more. I'm
Absolutely.
more than happy to do it whenever you
Yeah.
let me know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe we can do it in person, like Brazen was saying.
Well, we're coming to Vegas in about a month and a half ish. Might do a side by side. So love you guys. I love you guys. Like I said, I would have never met you for this, and you're now dear friends. We'll be telling stories for 30 years to come. So thanks everybody for watching the show. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Have a great weekend.
In the chat, you guys have a good one. You take care.
All right, guys. Bye.
See ya.